Hi, I'm Dr. Caitlin Keller with Unconstipated Kids, and we are here to help you help your child improve their bowel and bladder health so that they can keep their underwear clean and dry. Stay tuned and watch more.
Rainbow smiles are one of my favorite exercises to start with a kiddo who is working on some toileting dysfunction. And so, what I mean by rainbow smiles is typically in the yoga world, in the exercise world, this is known as cat cow. I kind of renamed it in my clinic so that it would be really clear for kids which one is cat and which one is cow because I don't know which one is cat and cow. And so a rainbow arches up and a smile arches down. So in my clinic, in Unconstipated Kids, we have renamed it Rainbow Smiles. So what this exercise does is a lot. So you get a lot of great abdominal movement. You get some stretch through the front. You get pressure changes within the digestive tract. You get some mobility through the diaphragm the more you work on rib mobility. You get a lot of pelvic isolation. And when you work on pelvic isolation, that helps connect the neurological communication between your child's brain and their pelvic region so they have better isolated control of their pelvic region, which carries over into toileting, urge awareness, sensation, and then also the mechanics to help get poop out. So here you see what rainbow smiles typically should look like. So hands and knees position, knees are underneath the hips, hands are underneath the shoulders. You get nice smooth movement up into a rainbow, my back is arched, and then down into a smile, my back is arched down. So we want to focus on a lot of mobility through the lower back and the pelvic region. Sometimes kids get this really excessive shoulder blade upper back movement, and I'm kind of borderline on in that presentation. We can look at breath variation. So if that becomes too easy, once your child practices that, you can practice what I call layering tasks. And this means that we take a baseline skill. So Rainbow Smiles is the baseline task. And then once we have that pretty good in terms of like carryover and movement and quality of motion, then we layer a qualifier on top of that. And so that makes the brain multitask a little bit, which has lots of reasons why it's helpful for toileting, but layering a task and adding a qualifier onto a skill is a really great thing with a lot of benefits. So we take the rainbow smile and then we layer on top of that some breath variation. So once you move into a rainbow position, then maybe you take a breath in and a breath out before your child then transitions to a smile position and then takes a breath in and another breath out. And so that's something else that they have to think about as they're doing the rainbow smiles, which, like I said, adds multitasking of the brain. So you're going to spend a little bit more time in each position if you're layering on that breath in and breath out before you move to the next position. So what you can emphasize here is a breath in is going to allow a full belly breath, big relaxation through the abdominal cavity, and that can help stimulate digestive system. And so if we're focusing on stimulation of peristalsis, maybe relaxation of some tension through the abdominal cavity, this might be a great thing to try. The quality of movement matters, and that applies to rainbow smiles, but it also applies to really any exercise that you might be helping your child through. I spoke a little bit about this earlier. The big thing that I want to touch on here is keeping contact with the floor, especially through the knees and the tops of the feet. Some kids really want to bring the tops of their feet up, so they're using the balls of their feet or their toes, and then some kids might not have quite the coordination that we want them to be able to have, and so their knees are lifting up off into the floor. They're looking like they're in a downward dog position. So focus on fingers are pointed straight, hands are underneath the shoulders, knees are underneath the hips, and the tops of the feet remain in contact with the floor. So here's what some of those things might look like. So when shoulders scrunch up towards the ears, the feet are lifted up off the floor, the whole body is rocking back over the hips instead of keeping hips over knees. All of these things are things that you can look for to help your child to get a better quality out of this exercise, which means that they're going to have more outcomes, more positive progress towards the things that they're working towards. I will add a caveat. Add in these things or correct your child as they're agreeable, and don't overload them with too many corrections. That can be a lot to take in. So focus on one thing at a time. Moving into seated rainbow smiles. So once hands and knees position becomes really easy, or your child is confident in it, maybe there's a couple things to still work on, you can graduate them to a different position, which makes it more difficult. So in sitting, we're working on the same pelvic rotation, the movement through the back into a rainbow and a smile position, but in a seated position. And the thing about that is it helps to carry over some positioning, positive positioning to the toilet, as well as working on their body movement in a gravity dependent situation. And so they're working against gravity, they're working with their postural muscles. And so there's a little bit more of a challenge in sitting as they're working through rainbow smiles. This stool is actually slightly too short for me. In a second, I'll start using my toes a little bit more, and that's an indication that I'm overusing my toe and feet muscles to stabilize myself. So this is actually slightly too short for me. If you see your child using their toes and feet, give them a higher step stool. And then now we can connect it to toileting. So once your child understands this position of rainbows and the position of smile, take that position of smile and apply it to the position on the toilet. And so when they're sitting on the toilet, a lot of kids like to slump back. They are maybe using their butt cheek, their glute muscles to help in some way when they're on the toilet, and we don't want that to happen. So a slight forward bend, elbows on the knees, a slight smile through the lower back is really optimal. There's another video on this YouTube channel called Toilet Positioning when we go over that a little bit more in depth. But carry over the smile into toileting can be really helpful.
Unconstipated Kids has a mission to serve and help families that have children that are struggling through toileting dysfunction or dirty or wet underwear, bedwetting, any kind of dysfunction related to bowel and bladder health. And so I really hope that this video is part of your journey to helping your child have better health and a quality of life where you don't have to think about their toileting anymore. And so, if this was helpful to you, drop a like or a comment in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, sign up for our email newsletter, and then also, if you're still needing some support, check out our website for our other service offerings to see if there's anything that resonates with you.